this is like proof that he is faithful if you answer.
For sure. That's that full surrender. And that's what it
Yep.
takes. It's that
Hmm.
full surrender. You had mentioned something in your book early on that where you kind of surrendered to God in a struggle that you were going through. That's something that when I was reading your book really stuck out to me. And it seems like you've kept that tradition true and your promise to God to what doors he's opened up for you today. Going back into your early, before you were Patriot Barbie, before you were the salon owner and all that image kind of came about, you were somebody that, even though you grew up in the church in your adolescent teenage years, like many of us do, we get lost. We get lost for the world. Things are coming at us. You had mentioned something in here regarding when you were addicted to drugs, to opioids, and you said
Hmm.
that you were able to overcome that, something you quit cold turkey through giving it to God. And you wrote in there,
Yep.
you have never met anybody else that is able to do that, that's a very difficult thing.
Hmm.
That struck me because I am somebody that did the exact same thing. When I was diagnosed with leukemia for 10 years, I was on cancer medicine, and the doctors, they give you opioids, pain meds. They just give you the pain meds, and you got cancer, they're
Yep.
giving them to you. And I got
Mhm.
addicted to opioid pain meds, and it was a tough time. It's a very tough thing. I say that doctors should make people watch a video of what it feels like to go through the withdrawals before giving them to you. Um,
Interesting.
but so I did that myself. I remember being in the shower, and you said you put the pills down the sink. I flushed mine down the toilet, and I remember being in the shower and giving it all to God. And if I hadn't have done that, there's no way that I would be free from that demonic
Mhm.
disease that was above us. So
Yeah.
when I read that, personally struck me, and I praise you for giving it to God with full surrender and trusting in Him. And it seems like maybe that was the first time that you did that, and
I
it's
would
what
say
appeared to
so.
me. It might have been earlier. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would say so. I would say that when originally, like in my youth, when I would hear people say, "The Lord told me," I'm like, "What does that mean?" Does literally a thundering voice come down and tell you? But it's more like words just kind of put into your head that surface out of nowhere, and typically, it's hard to discern as a human, as a sinner, if that's the voice of God or if that's the voice of the devil, right?
Hmm.
Because there are both voices. And it's very easy to fall into being deceived by Satan, if you can't discern the two voices. Now, here's kind of what I decided for myself. If the voice goes against what I want, it's probably God, because we all have our inner desires and our passions and our secrets. If this voice is telling you to do something and you're like, yeah, that's what I want to do anyway, it's probably the devil coaxing you on. So when I was immersed in a meth addiction, um, I was perfectly content in my meth addiction. Obviously, that's why you continue to be addicted to something, is because it warps your mind to believe that it's enjoyable and you love it and it's benefiting your life somehow. And so when I heard a voice in my head just say, "You're done," I was like, I don't want to be done. I'm not done. It's like, no, you're done. And it's like I had to recognize, well, I don't want to be done. So this must be the Lord telling me that it's time for me to be done with this. And I've never felt God's calling or voice or leadership in my life. He was kind of letting me do my own thing and make my mistakes, which I'm thankful for. But at that time, I absolutely knew this was not something I wanted to give up. And yet I truly believed that God was saying, "You're done." And so, yes, like you said, I took meth. I had actually, the reason it's in pills, if you know anything, if people know anything about drugs, is I was a meth addict. So I was smoking meth. And um, I had a boyfriend at the time that I felt like I needed to quit doing drugs because he went to church and I wanted to live a different life, but I was not ready to quit. And so I actually was having my dealer put my meth in pills, and I was
Mm.
hiding those pills in a like a vitamin bottle or something like that, so that if anyone were to ever stumble upon a thing of pills in my purse, they would think that they were, a vitamin C pill or something. I don't remember which pill it was, but so I was smuggling drugs in my own life in pill form. So I took those pills that I'd been hiding from everyone, and and this is beautiful because this was between me and God. I was pretending to have quit to everyone that knew me, my friends and family that were worried about me, but I was still doing it. And so the between me and God, it was like the falsifying, the lying, the deception is over. I am putting these down the sink and I am actually quitting because you told me to, not because I was doing it for a boyfriend or the world or myself.
So I think there's a lot of power in what you just said. So here you were lost at the time, living for the world, using drugs, hiding it, going an extra above and above step to get it masked. So if anybody did, like you were really trying to hide it from everybody, you were
Mhm.
obviously not happy with yourself and wanting to numb things about your life. That's why you probably did drugs. I would just assume a lot of people do it for those reasons. And yet you knew that God loved you as a person, a child of his, enough to speak to you, to give you the strength that only he can give for you to overcome something so powerful in your lost state at that time. And I think there's a lot of people that are lost that don't believe that God will speak to them unless they do something. You know, they have to feel like they must fully come clean before God will even open that door. And you're saying that God reached you at that point.
Right. And the craziest thing about my life is that, like what you mentioned, I think off air, that I was raised in a Christian conservative home. I was taught that drugs are bad, drinking is bad. I was like the ultimate amazing Christian child, teenager. I didn't cuss, I didn't smoke cigarettes, I got straight A's. I was in all of the Christian Fellowship of Christian Athletes and the Young Life and all those things. And then somewhere in my 20s, I just kind of went rogue, is the only, I can't ever explain or justify what happened, but I just went rogue. And my mentality was, life is short. I want to do it all. I want to try everything, even if it's painful. And I so blatantly disregarded the teachings and the way I was raised. But I would have these conversations with God, and it was sort of like, I'm just going to do this. Don't worry, I'll be back. I just kind of want to live, and I'm going to do these things. And I still know that you're there. I still know that you love me. I still know that it's wrong. I'm doing it anyway. And wow, what an amazing God, because he was like, all right, go ahead. It's like, when you're in a relationship and young, and they say, well, I just need to experience life, and you break up this beautiful
Mhm.
relationship to go play, and then you come back because you're like, oh, that wasn't any fun. You really are a good person. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I did that to God. I totally
Mm.
took advantage of his grace and his love, and I went rogue, and I did all the bad things that you could possibly imagine in a 3-year period. And it was as terrible as he would allege that it would be. It's the reason he protects us from those things. It's the reason he has, quote, rules, guidelines for life, is because if you do things his way, you prevent yourself from pain and regret and remorse and agony and torture and um, all of the bad things. And so I'm really, it's so strange. I'm really grateful that he is the kind of God that said, go on, just go. I'll come get you when you're ready. You go have your fun. Because that fun is what led me to my testimony. That fun is what on social media I can use these regrets to minister to people. And
Yep.
so I don't want to be that girl that stayed, quote, perfect and never cussed and never drank and lived this righteous life, because that doesn't reach as many people as the things that I've done to myself, that I can now tell people, I'm not telling you don't do these things because the Bible says they're wrong. I'm telling you don't do them because I did them and God's way is right. And what
Yeah.
what we go rogue and do is more painful than the plan he has for you.
Correct. Like I've walked those steps. I know where that's going to lead. I didn't just read about it
Yeah.
or saw it on a video. Like I've been there. My feet have been in those
Yes.
places, and I can tell you what's there is not good. And
Mhm.
I think that's beautiful that you don't shy away from that, that you use that to uplift people. And that's what the world needs more of, is more realness and to show the true compassion that God and Jesus has for us when we fully accept him into our life, and how he can take somebody from the lowest point of what society says that you are and he can glorify you when you turn to him and give you all the desires of your heart, and which it says in the word he'll do.